In New Brunswick, Stephen Iggy Didam was shot by an RCMP officer during a wellness check on September 8th in his home in Elsipogtog. The 34-year-old later died in hospital. The community was outraged over his death and wants the RCMP to leave Elsipogtog.
But, you know, we just got to continue to fight and get justice for our brothers and sisters and prove our point to them and get them out of our communities.
The Serious Incident Response Team, CIRT, is investigating and will determine if charges or disciplinary actions will be required. In another unrelated case, CIRT concluded that Corporal Andrew Whiteway of the Woodstock, New Brunswick RCMP be charged with aggravated assault for allegedly striking a woman in the face on June 13th. Christina Gillis of the Eskasoni First Nation posted these photos on social media.
Right here is caved in. Yeah. And then my nose here is broken. And then over here I have a bone that's still moving around a little bit. And then these teeth were pushed back up here.
She says the Western Valley Regional RCMP officer did this damage when he punched her in the face multiple times. It happened on June 13th in Richmond Corner, about 100 kilometers northwest of Fredericton. A Mi'kmaq mother, Mary Isaac, may lose support under Jordan's principle to care for her 3 children, as the Ottawa and Nova Scotia governments disagree over who should deliver the services. Isaac hopes to hear soon if the decision to end her support is overturned. Isaac is afraid her children will end up in care if she can't find resources elsewhere. Indigenous Services Canada has extended Isaac's supports till the end of January 2025, giving Isaac and her lawyer time to advocate for long-term support.
I currently only have access to the service that's in my house through Jordan's principle, and they still want to cut it off and call CPS. That's not like a truth and reconciliation work. That's very colonial, actually, in the structure. It's a very colonial way of thinking.
On the day of the national action for MMIWG and 2S people last October, family and supporters gathered in downtown Halifax for the Justice for Destiny Memorial Walk. Destiny Rennie died in hospital on August 6, 2023, from fungal meningitis. Her family says the 22-year-old's death could have been prevented and is suing Nova Scotia Health and 4 doctors, alleging negligence by the hospital staff and doctors. Chief Michelle Glasgow of the Sipekne'katik First Nation had this to say about Destiny Rennie.
Destiny is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful young lady inside and out, loved by everyone.
Last March, DFO officers made headlines after arresting 2 Mi'kmaq fishers for unauthorized Elver fishing and left the fishers stranded hours from home. Mi'kmaq leaders are calling for an investigation, and 1 DFO officer has been suspended for 10 days without pay. Blaise Sillyboy of the Eskasoni First Nation and Kevin Hartling of the Membertou First Nation say the officers left them with no phones and no shoes in the middle of the night at a gas station in Shelburne, Nova Scotia, about 200 kilometers southeast of Halifax.
Yes, we told them that we were not from the area. We were from Cape Breton, and we had no way to contact anyone without our phones. I even asked them if they could supervise me. Well, I looked through my contacts on my phone so I could get a hold of someone, and they refused to do that as well.
For 2 weeks in April, thousands of people from all parts of the world gathered at the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues in New York City, where delegates presented their issues, and the forum ensures the United Nations declarations of Indigenous rights are implemented worldwide. The Abenaki Nation took to New York's famous Times Square to reach a greater audience about the impacts of identity fraud. The Abenaki Nation says groups in Vermont claiming Abenaki identity are doing so fraudulently. So they rented a digital billboard for 24 hours that said the Abenaki of Odanak, Wallanack are the sole guardians of Abenaki identity. Stop Indigenous identity fraud.
I hope that people understand that identity fraud is a big problem, and it's not only it's not only an Abenaki problem. It's everyone. Everyone is a part of this.
In Nova Scotia, a Dalhousie University class project where students developed a graphic novel has outraged the Manitoba Métis Federation. The class's professor, Lisa Binkley, disputes that characterization and defends the message in the book.
I think students need to learn how to talk about it, and they need to know how to understand the politics that are going on between the various Métis nations and those that are self-identifying as Eastern Métis or Métis when they're not part of one of the recognized groups in Canada.
Dalhousie University declined to comment on this story. David Chartrand is the president of the Manitoba Métis Federation. He says that is problematic.
But this also draws the question to Dalhousie. How serious is your procurement policy on the promise of assuring us as Indigenous leaders, Indigenous nations, as the Red River Métis of the West, how secure is your policies to ensure that you're not allowing this to happen again?
And that's a wrap-up of some of the stories of 2024. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabuttuk, also called Halifax.